We are learning Mishnah Sotah, Perek Vav, Chapter 6, Mishnah Gimel, Mishnah 3. This continuation from the previous Mishnah. That the previous Mishnah said, according to Rabbi Yeshua, in order to establish that a woman, after going into a seclusion with a man she was warned not to, and that seclusion was established by two witnesses, the halacha is that one witness can come afterwards to say that she committed adultery in the seclusion. That was Rabbi Yeshua's opinion. You need two in order to establish seclusion. Everybody agrees that after that's been established, one witness can come and say that she had committed adultery at that in that circumstance, and because of that, she would become forbidden to her husband. She would be able to drink the Sotah waters, and she would lose her ksuba. Now, the source of this, how do we know this? It definitely needs a source to say one witness should be believed, and we'll soon see what that source is. But before giving the source, the Mishna puts forth the following question. Now, again, the question is based on the fact that according to the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua, in order to establish her going into seclusion, you need two witnesses. In order to say that she committed adultery afterwards, you need one witness. As we say yesterday, regularly to say the woman committed adultery, you need two witnesses. But over here, since it's following her seclusion that we established through two witnesses, one witness is then believed to say she committed adultery. So you've got in order to establish that she went to seclusion, two witnesses. To establish she committed adultery, one witness. So on that the Mishnah says, Shahaya B'din. Logic would have dictated the opposite. We find by the first testimony, meaning by the testimony regarding seclusion, and that's called the first one because there's one that follows that. She'ein Israta Isser Olam, that at the end of the day, that testimony does not make her forbidden forever. It makes her forbidden, meaning the witnesses, the testimony to the seclusion makes her forbidden until she drinks and she's proven innocent. So it's not necessarily a eternal prohibition being made. Nonetheless, it can only be established the fact that she went to seclusion. That testimony of seclusion cannot have less than two. Again, following the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua. Eidos Achreina, the later testimony, meaning the testimony of adultery following. Shoisrata Isser Olam, that's going to make her forbidden forever, because if it's established she committed adultery, she'll never be permitted to her husband, which means that the testimony of adultery is more stringent than the first testimony. Logic, isn't it logical that it could again also only be established with two? So again, the argument is that for the testimony of stira, which is not as serious because it's not necessarily going to make her forbidden forever to her husband, that can only be a testimony based on two witnesses. So testimony regarding adultery that will make her forbidden forever, which is a more serious testimony, logic should follow that it should also need two. So why did the previous Mishnah say only one? Talmud Loimar. Therefore, the Torah came to teach us with the following words: the Eid Ein Ba. In the Torah section of discussing a Sotah, it says that she's in a situation where there is no witness to her. There's no witness to what? To adultery. Right? That's the whole. That you go through the Sotah process because there is no establishment of adultery. We don't know. So the Torah says the Eid Ein Ba. There is no witness to the fact that she committed adultery. Now, the Mishnah says, from those words that say the Eid Ein Ba, there is no witness, that teaches us Kol Eidu Sheyesh Ba, any testimony that she has will make her forbidden. Now, what that means is like this: the words Ve'eid Ein Ba, although literally translated, would translate and there is no witness. The rule is that when the word aid in the Torah, which means one witness, appears in the Torah without the word one following it, doesn't say aid echad, one witness, it just says aid, witness. So although that is the singular form of witness, it means two. And therefore, if the Torah says ve'eid ein ba, there is no witness to her, that means there are no two witnesses to her, then that implies that if there was, so the thing is, we don't have two witnesses. But if we were to have, the Eid Ein Ba, there are no two witnesses to her. And then we say, okay, she could drink. But what if there's one witness? What if there's one witness? Then we're going to say that she could drink. Here, let me read it to you here. Whenever the Torah says aid, witness, it actually means two witnesses. Therefore, the verse quoted in the Mishnah, and there was no witness to her defilement, means that if there was no two witnesses to her defilement, but there was one witness, she does not drink the water. So that's the source to say that if there's one witness, she doesn't drink. Because if there's one witness following seclusion, then even one witness is going to be believed to say that she committed adultery. Now, the Mishnah says, but if that's so, let's flip things around. Let's say now, kal v'chomer, all the more so, kal v'chomer means if I find something by one thing, I should sure say it by the other thing. Kal v'chomer lo edus harishon me'ata. Now let's argue and say, let's now argue regarding the first testimony. Uma im edus achreina sheisrata iser olam. You find that the later testimony of adultery that makes her forbidden forever on her husband, you can establish that fact, you can establish that status with one witness. The first testimony that doesn't make her forbidden forever. Shouldn't it follow that it should be established with one witness? Now, meaning flip it around. If you find that you only need one by the more stringent, then all the more so by the more lenient. So the more stringent is the testimony about adultery, because it makes her forbidden on her husband forever. We just established, based on the Torah's words, one witness is enough. Well, once we've established that, let's use a kal v'chomer. Let's say that which I find by the more stringent should certainly apply by the more lenient, and if by the more stringent one witness is enough, then by. This is right. This is it. Then if by adultery this is enough, if by the testimony of adultery it's enough to have one witness, all the more so by the first testimony, which is just establishing that she went into seclusion, which will not necessarily make her forbidden forever. Talmud loymar, for that we have the Torah saying, Ki matza ba'ervas davar. The Torah says regarding a man who divorces his wife, for he found in her a matter of immorality. That word davar is very important. Ulahalanu oymar, later on it states, al pi shnei edim yakum davar. Later on in the Torah it says, based on two witnesses, a matter will be established. So we have the common word davar, both regarding a woman's immorality and regarding witnesses on monetary issues. Just like by that word davar, the second time it says two witnesses. So too the davar mentioned by the woman who committed adultery means two witnesses. We're now using the process called Gezeira Shava, where the Torah says, where we know that there are two words, there are common words in two verses, that tells us take from one to the other, learn from one to the other. So we have the second verse, Al pi shnei edim yakum davar. You want to establish a matter of monetary law, of other things. How many witnesses you need? Two. Here, where it talks about Ki matza ba'ervas davar, he found a matter of immorality in her, which is, they're talking about immorality, but we take that to all matters of marriage. There it says davar also, and that teaches us in order to establish it, any kind of these laws regarding a woman's status, you need two witnesses. The exception to that rule is when it comes to her establishing she committed adultery. After she went into seclusion, there we have the verse of Eidin Ba, which is a verse referring, the context of that verse is adultery. There we have the source to say that if it followed seclusion of a Sotah, the adultery can be established even by one witness. So it's an exception based on what the Torah teaches us in that section of the Torah about a Sotah. Okay. Have a wonderful day. I want to wish everyone here and all the listeners a ksiva v'chasima tova, a shana tova, a happy and healthy new year with all the best.
Amen. One question, not about it. It says a new fruit.